Alright, this is going to be part 2 of building my 4x8 lean-to shed, which is basically going to be a giant toolbox. And in case you haven't seen part 1, I'll link it in the description at the end. Let's get to it. So, it's the third day. We're after work today. And we kind of have to halt the build to begin the next process, which is basically we have to get a gravel bed here and paint and trim out, and then paint the trim on the back side of this shed before we can get it into place, because I won't have access to it after this for quite a while. And I want to get all this painted, treated, prepped, and ready, then push the shed into the place where it's going to be sitting, and then I can finish building the shed out there on a nice level base. And so it begins. We've got most of the dirt out that I wanted to get out, and as much as this evil, creeping, fescue Bermuda grass that I can get out of the way. I'll be honest, I know weeds eventually are going to grow back through it. This grass is going to grow, but potentially not under it because it'll be dark. The rhizomes will just keep crawling across the surface. But it's good enough for us to begin getting the gravel bed set up in here. Oh, goodness. Normally this rock probably costs a person between $60 and $100. I'm having to remove it at work, so it was free to me. I had to bag it up myself and bring it home. Now we're just kind of compacting the area where these camo posts will sit, leveling them out a bit more, so that when we're ready to move the shed from here to here, we know they'll be as close to level as we can get them. Well, I guess we're going to get a sneak peek of the paint before it's time to paint the whole thing. So, I'll let you guys see a little bit of it here. I'll show you it when it's all painted up back here. I went with a paint for wood, porches, patios, stuff like that. Low luster slate gray. Okay, it's 8:10 at night. I've gotten 2 extremely thick thorough coats on this. I've got 2 coats on the trim. This should have plenty of time to dry up overnight. Tomorrow, after work, I'll come in, put the trim up around the back side, and then we can finally put it in place over here where it belongs. Then from that point, we can start working on finishing the build. Okay, with those in place and using the stainless nails through here, we are now ready to brace up these sides, and then we'll move it into place. Or at least we'll try. Okay, we have no clue if what we're going to try and do is going to work, but we're going to try it anyway. We've braced up the sides. We're going to slide 1 or 2 single or double 2x under the back end. We've got some PVC pipe to roll it on, and if all goes super smooth, it should just roll into place.
You're under my board. What? No, I already knew that a one man can do it like this. Should be pretty.
Okay, well, we have very simply rolled it into place like a couple of Egyptian ninjas. And we're gonna do some wiggling and jiggling and get those camo blocks under there.
Yeah, right there.
Wait, which way are you running that? Yeah, that's right.
Attention 5/8.
Yep. When that side's in, pull the front blocks. Ready?
Yeah. Okay, come down. Now, I'll back up. Okay. It's up against the building. One more time. Okay. So I can slid in. Try that. Yeah, it's in.
All right, well, we've moved it into position. Now we got to double check that it's level or that we like it. At least square. So we happen to get the base dead level in both directions. But on the end, we've got the slightest lean where we needed to just tweak this way a fraction. So I'm probably going to use a spare 2x. Cross base from there to here while it's held in place. And that'll hold it together to get the rest of the sheeting on and keep it square for all the framing. And that's the next steps. It's in place, it's braced, it's level. We've installed 3 screws along the bottom because we're going to set the sheet good in place. One of us, which is probably me, will run up the ladder while the other one just holds it in place. We'll pencil mark the roof line so it matches perfectly. Then we can cut that. And then we can remove the bottom screws and put it in place. This happens to be the one that has all the sawdust on it. It's all over my neck now.
Okay.
Please.
You'll feel better after you take a shower than that.
Okay. I need it to slide to where this edge is right against that edge.
Right up against the light.
Right at the edge of it. You got it?
I got it.
Still got it?
Yeah, still got it.
Now that it's marked, we can just go ahead and cut it. Oops, go charge battery. Fortunately, even with all these dead batteries, my Avery portable power system has 4 outlets on the back. So I can charge these batteries up and continue to work. And that, ladies and gents, is what we are going to call a day for day 4. So tomorrow, there are going to be lots. Paint, trim, roofing, doors. The selection is endless for the day. Just kind of like I did on the back side, I'm going to start off filling all the grooves first. Just going to do that to the whole shed. Then, I'll paint the surface with a roller. And I'll come back and hit the grooves again. And then the surface the second time. And I can't stress this enough. Another area to focus on with this T111 siding, because T111 is essentially plywood. It's not the same as those composite smart sides or any of that you get today. You need to get plenty of paint on these ends. just like you would if you were painting some plywood that was going to be on the outside of something. Stuff it up. Make sure you get paint on there 2 times, 3 times, until you're pretty sure you have sealed that thing in real nice like. All right, there we go. That's 2 coats of paint on all the siding, the main portion in the grooves, everything. Don't forget, you need to paint your doors too. So the next steps, I can either build the doors or paint the trim before I put it up and then hang the trim, or do some roofing. So I think because of the time and because of what time it is in the evening, I'll just go ahead and get the trim out and start getting all that pre-prepped and painted, because tomorrow's my day off. I'll have a full day and I'll get started hanging trim, working on building the doors, get the roofing out of the way. Hopefully I can get all of that finished tomorrow so that by the end of the day tomorrow, we have a shed. Okay, so yesterday I was able to get one side of my 1x4's trim painted. And I got too tired and it was getting late. It was about 8:30 when I was done to get this opposite side painted up, prepped and ready. So I've got 1 coat on this side. I want to go ahead and mark these out so I can get these all pre-cut. That way when I do the rest of my painting today, I can get the ends painted. Basically, I want all 6 sides painted. That way I can pre-cut this piece. I'm going to do the same to all sides. So that way I can get all the rest of this painted, as well as making sure the ends of everything are painted first. If I didn't mention it, we're already on the 6th day. I've got 8 hours I can work on this today. So hopefully I can get this thing finished. Although I don't know, because I'm not sure how long the roofing is going to take. Okay, now that I've got these top ends painted, all 6 sides and ready, I'm going to go ahead and get them attached so that I can measure for the corner pieces and make sure that they're not too long, too short, and I'm not wasting paint. And what I'm using to attach this is 2-inch trim head screws for exterior siding and trim. Now I'm putting extra paint on these edges. What I plan to do is get 1 more quart and a small roller and just do all the surfaces 1 more time too. Then I've got 2 coats on everything. All right, last pieces for a while, and then it's onto that door, which is kind of nice because kind of bummed out painting so much. One of the reasons this shed has taken so long to build is literally I painted everything in between, painted edges. That takes extra time. Of course, the reason I wanted to do that was so that I knew all my edges of the plywood were sealed, all the edges of these, the backside, basically every bit of wood is sealed on its surfaces. Okay. All right, let's build the door frame, and that way I know what I need to do to finalize the trim there, and then come back to finalize another coat of paint. Okay, we still have the wind. We've got the doors basically built, and we've got hardware. Now, the instructions for this one does show the hardware on the outside of the trim. I actually don't want my hardware outside on the trim's faces because I am a little bit nervous of somebody coming along and taking the screws out. So I'm going to put my hardware up first with the doors, and then I'm going to trim over them, which I have a feeling it's going to require me to cut this off or something. Unless I get them in the exact perfect locations. We'll see. Let's get started on that and see. So I've got some paint sticks I'm going to put on the bottom so that I only get about 1/8 of an inch gap on the bottom. And then that'll give me about the same gap on the top. I think if I run the long part under the long part of the trim for the top and the bottom and do it at the same wherever the middle lands, I think I'll be able to just cover these all up entirely and not have to worry about cutting anything off. Cool, guys, we got a door. Seems like that's about its limit, which is fine. When I get both open, that'll be great. Let me get these last screws down there. Even though I was thinking about swapping this board because it's crooked, I also could just put a stop board up here. We'll see when it gets down to doing the handles and stuff. It's also got these little things for the opposite door, the way it's designed. Yeah, it's dark in here, guys. That's not bad. That'll work so far. One door down, one to go. All right, check it out, guys. I got doors, man. It's pretty cool. Having some doors on here, it finally feels like a shed. Now, I still have to put the hardware on, like the handle and the lock and stuff. So I'll probably get that out of the way because we have enough wind today. I don't want these things just flopping around. And then we can work on some paint. Okay, I got the handle on, and I went to fiddle-faddle around and look at a bunch of the ways to do the trim on the front here. I'm not going to do it exactly like the picture, and for the life of me, I couldn't make a choice, so I just decided to jump back into painting more of the trim, and I got to get that second coat I wanted on these. So while I contemplate how I want to do this trim, and the trim actually starts to dry, I'm going to get the second coat done on the main body. I think what I'm going to end up doing is trimming the doors like they show in that picture. So I'll run the pieces here, some little guys in between, or up high, side, something like that. Little guy in the middle on each, which means the handle will shift. A larger piece on the bottom front, and then on each side, on the bottoms, just a larger 1x6 instead of 1x4. And then I don't know if I want to run anything on this side of it. You know, I'm a little concerned. Not everybody runs around with Torx screws, but I am a bit concerned about people being able to pull these off. But I also thought it looked weird when I held it up. It just looks like it's this wide. It's just too much. So we'll do the door for sure because I do like the way that looked. And then just kind of wing it. Okay, so I took some time. I went ahead and laid the trim out the way I wanted it to be and painted everything on the white trim one more time. And I like it like this. You know, I wasn't sure, but having just the hinges stick out kind of makes me feel a little more like a traditional look. And then that part's hidden and it gives me extra support there. And so basically we've done everything to build the shed except for the last and final step, which we got to go ahead and roof it, and which I haven't done a shingled roof for at least 5 years if I remember right. So hopefully I can remember all the steps, but we'll hop up there and get started. Okay, well, I'm not quite cool enough like some of my favorite creators to have a big old scaffold I can use here, but I am ingenuity enough to know how to use the sawhorses, leftover lumber, and basically make myself one. So the first step, we need to get our felt paper, tar paper on the roof. And this allows me to reach just about halfway up because I got super long arms. So I can get that part done and then crawl up onto the roof with my big ladder and finish from there up. Because this is such a small roof, it's going to be kind of a tight space to work in. So I'll start by getting the felt paper on and we'll go from there. Oh, that's great. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say something like you're supposed to use the little round deals and not use staples up here. Staples have been used before with no problems by tons of people in the past. Now, you'll have to check in to decide if you're worried about like manufacturer's warranties and stuff like that, because it could void it. The way I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to have such a large overlap, and it is, for me, a storage shed, that I'm not super concerned. I ended up buying a whole roll for just this itty bitty 4x8 area. So I'm gonna have this basically half and half over each other. Just not concerned about it. And like I said, staples were used eons ago and it worked great. And a lot of people even skip this altogether. So I'll be happy doing it this way. Now that the floppy wind flopping hard part's done, if I can remember correctly, I need to get my drip edge here under the felt, and then on the sides I need to go over the felt. So next step is to get some drip edge up. That end is really nice. And no need to get crazy here. Drip edge is done on this side. Now we'll do the edges. There we go. I'll get that one and then work myself around. Next, we start the shingles. Okay, so the next step, now that we've got our drip edges on, it's not exactly necessary for a shed, but I'm gonna put it on. We live in a high wind area. We get a lot of winds, so using a starter strip to adhesive to this, and then it has its own tar strip that'll hook to the bottom of the shingles that are on the bottom row is great. You can also do this the old way with the 3-tab shingles. This is actually cheaper now. Now I'm just following the instructions that come on this product. And it shows doing the sides first and then the bottom. That's pretty cool. It's a peel and stick product. There we go. And I'm not worried about the overhang because we're actually going to cut that off when we get to the top. I think it's cool you don't have to get old 3-tabs and cut the backs off and put them on the bottom like we used to do back in the day. This is so much faster and simpler. I could see why everybody recommends using this to start your shingles now. Okay, now with the fun part, getting these shingles up. So I'm starting with a full piece here. I'll have another full piece. And it looks like mathematically I'll have almost exactly a half piece. Yes, I took some time to do some pre-cutting to figure it out here. So I'll literally have joints at half and half if I just roll with this. So I'll have a half there, full, and then it would be a full half, so that I have almost no waste with this, which is great because we're trying to keep it so we only have to buy this one bundle. Now for the edge, I'm barely a quarter to an eighth of an inch, between an eighth and a quarter hanging over the drip edge. That's all you need on both the end and the front. I'm running the 4 nail style till you get to an end where you come in here and you've got about 1.5 inches in, 1.5 inches from this edge, and then just one in the middle. And yes, my nailer is very old, still gets the job done though. So now I can start my next row. Just line it up where she belongs according to what it says on the roof shingle package. Putting it exactly where it shows. And so when you're doing the next row, you want that nail right in here so that you're going through both shingles. I don't know if you guys know that, so 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches in, and then right here. Now, again, I'm not a roofer, so I'm not gonna get these things perfectly dead level every time. So if I do end up with one that I don't like and it's sideways, I'll just whip out the hammer, give it a smack. I'm gonna work on this for a while and we'll get back to you guys when I have a shingled roof. As I take a quick 5-minute break from up there before I bring up some more shingles and wrap up the roof, quick notes to go over. I know somebody's gonna talk about how I'm not doing this right because I'm not stepping it like stairs the whole way. Now I've done, I think, what, 3 shed roofs this way before. None of them have ever leaked, and you will get the least amount of waste doing it this way. Big goal, I've double lapped tar paper. I'm pulling everything good and tight. And it shouldn't leak because you've got layers on layers on layers as it's going through there. So we shouldn't have a leak problem at all. Cross my fingers it doesn't happen to me. But technically, yes, you would normally step this, whether you're doing a bigger shed, a house, something else. But it's my shed, I'm gonna do it my way. I gotta get back to work. Okay, the roof's all done. I finished off at the very top by using some corner flashing, and that's gonna just be a nice piece of metal that lets everything just run straight off onto the shingles. And so the last step is to go ahead and add any accessories we want. Now, of course, I'll be taking everything from my storage unit and putting the 8 totes I have on this side. And we're not wasting any space. So of course, over here, we've used the cavities for the stud walls to store some things that'll fit inside and just some simple bungees. And of course, you can't have a shed without something to store screwdrivers and whatnot in. We're even gonna go ahead and use wood blocking as shelving if we have to. On this side, I've set it up, already started loading tools up for some of the tools I've got. Even have hose hangers and cord hangers that haven't even been used yet. And I'm even gonna go ahead and be using these up here for a couple of really long clamps that I have. These I went ahead and printed on my 3D printer, printed the hose hanger on the 3D printer, cord hanger was printed on the 3D printer. And then of course, some of my more favorite things we can add to a storage unit. With the power of solar lights today, might as well put one of them up. And then I printed a ladder holder for my smaller ladder. I know I could store it inside. This one I use a ton. It's off and on and off and on and in the truck and out of the truck. So with a 3D printer, I'm able to print myself a nice little ladder hanger. Cool. And one of my absolute favorite accessories, I printed this on the 3D printer. I'm gonna put it right here. This is gonna be my vent, as well as it flaps open. You can feed an extension cord either in or out. Magnets lock it back closed, cord just sits there. Therefore, I can either charge things inside, or if I had my battery bank in there and needed to run some power out here for something, I don't have to have it sit in the direct sunlight, and I can run a cord out here from the bank inside. There we go. Just enough room to get a cord in. And so from the inside, you can see it acts as a vent, as well as I can feed a cord out. All right, with all the accessories set up on this and everything done, I finally have a 4x8 lean-to shed, so I can go ahead and get started unloading my storage unit in town, get all that stuff over here where it's more handy for me, and then like I said, I can keep my eyes on it and it's safer. The total cost we spent was $715.98, $157.63, $98.39, and $166.34, giving us a grand total of $1,138.34. Now, had I built this 5 years ago, I think it would have cost me about half as much as what I calculated, but I'm still happy with finally getting it built. It's definitely a lot higher than what I would expect a small shed like this to cost with total materials that I went with, paint, the whole wham shebang. That includes the shelving inside. That includes all the hardware. That includes even the filament it took to print my favorite parts and the light. But overall, the cost isn't too bad. And all in all, 12 months from now, paying $94 a month for the storage unit I'm using will basically pay for this. And so it's just free money, and it's all here on site where I prefer it. Now, I gotta get my yard clean, go unload the shed, and get a few other things done. Next week, we should be back at Betty's place. I think we're gonna go ahead and start painting the outside and then start working on planning some final stuff on the inside with that kitchen. While you're out there doing these kinds of projects yourself, I need you guys to remember to tell yourself, I can fix that.